Hey everybody, a few weeks ago I did a video addressing the 5 types of dissociation and how we can better deal with them. Today I'm going to teach you about the 5 most common forms of dissociation and what we can do to prevent them from continuing to happen. You left comments and asked questions and I am here to answer them. I looked at the top recurring ones and we'll be digging into the 6 questions or concerns I saw most often. So let's jump right in and stay tuned to see if your question will be answered. Now the first theme I saw is that it's hard to stop, especially when maybe we don't think it's that bad. And the first comment reads, I've been maladaptive daydreaming since I was a child. Before, I thought it was just something that everybody does, and I didn't think that it would be harmful. But after all those years of daydreaming, I created lots of stories. Some I can still remember and still continue to develop up to this day. And I lived in my head every single day. That even though I know that doing grounding techniques are healthier than constantly living in my fantasy world, I can't seem to abandon these imaginary people, imaginary versions of myself, imaginary world I created. Its effects aren't really that extreme in real life because I can still function, but still it does more bad because I often opt to daydream than to do my academic tasks. I just wish I could find it in myself to stop this completely because I know that it's unrealistic. And I'm just hurting myself in the process by setting my expectations too high. I have quite self-centered stories, and I know that people won't realistically hold me in such high regard. It's normal to get used to how we manage our life. We are such adaptive creatures that we can easily get into the rhythm of dissociating when we're overwhelmed. And since it does help us not to have to deal with as much pain or upset, we can enjoy it. And we should be thankful for it helping us get through those tough times. However, when it starts getting in the way of our ability to do our work, go to school or participate in class, and maybe negatively affecting our relationships, we will have to find healthier ways to cope. The second trend I saw in the comments are dissociation's connection to trauma. Many of them mentioned how it was part of their PTSD, and others sharing how they didn't think it was a trauma because they didn't think they dissociated. They were shocked to find out that they did. Now this second comment states, I've always told myself that I couldn't have been traumatized because I don't dissociate, but it never occurred to me that there might be different types of dissociation. Many people do struggle with dissociation as a result of their trauma and PTSD. Triggering sounds, smells, or tastes can be so overwhelming to our system that our brain pulls the ripcord on reality. It can be an escape and a break from that feeling, but not everyone who is traumatized will develop symptoms of PTSD, and not everyone with PTSD will have dissociation. Everyone has different levels of resilience, meaning our ability, to mentally weather life's storms, and we will do our best to cope in various ways. Some of my patients use food as a way to deal, others self-injury. We could even turn to alcohol or drugs, and some even struggle with shopping addiction. There are many ways that we can try and numb out from our trauma, so don't think that you must dissociate in order for your trauma to be real. The third trend I saw is that we didn't know it was dissociation, and a comment about that reads, I'm so happy that I've learned about maladaptive daydreaming because for a long time I thought it was just something everyone did, but now I know it's a coping mechanism for my anxiety and depression. I've now realized that I put myself into intricate stories just to make my life seem interesting. But the struggle I have is I don't know how to fix it, or if I can fix it, since it's not as well known. I don't know if going to a therapist would help. I also don't know if I'd like life without my imaginary stories. Any advice? This is one of the most common types of comments I saw. Many of you didn't know that what you were experiencing was actually dissociation. And that makes sense because if it's our way of coping with things, possibly starting from a young age, we may not know another way of living. We could have been dissociating off and on since we were a child. And if it's just something that happens to us each day, we can assume that everyone else is doing the same things, or that our experience with the world is similar to everyone else's, because why wouldn't it be? But as for this specific question about going to a therapist, that can definitely help us process the trauma we have experienced in our life. Because it's not really about getting rid of the dissociation, as much as it is about processing and moving through the trauma. Then the dissociation will go away on its own because we won't need it anymore. If we don't get so overwhelmed or triggered, then it won't happen. And it's normal to not know if we can live without our daydreams or other forms of dissociation or any other coping skills, to be honest. But we also don't know what it's like to live without triggers and PTSD symptoms. And since the two are inextricably linked, you might be surprised what you find out. The fourth trend I saw was about the frustration with memory loss and how that plays into our invalidation and minimization of past trauma. One comment like this reads, "Because of dissociation, I still can't remember what actually happened during the time that it was traumatic. My therapists have been telling me that I should process this, but I'm scared. I don't know if I even want to know what really happened because I'm still living with the people that caused me the trauma." Dissociative amnesia can be difficult to deal with. We can be frustrated and even invalidate our own experience because we can't fully remember, and we simultaneously don't want to remember because we're sure it's not good. Know that dissociation is a coping skill and a way of protecting us from trauma and overwhelm. We don't have to remember everything in order to start working through it. And I also know that oftentimes we don't even have full memory of the traumatic events because the dissociation was so intense. So we could be like searching for something that's not there. Be patient with yourself as you uncover what's there and what's not. And yes, it'll feel bad, and a lot can come up during this process, but also know that there are other treatment options that don't involve us recalling every detail, like EMDR or somatic experiencing, and many others. So if it's just too much for you, or if there are huge gaps in your memory and you don't know if you can even recall anything, know that that's okay too, and you still can heal. The fifth trend I saw is wondering the difference between a form of dissociation and other mental illnesses. One comment like this reads, "Great video. What's the relationship between maladaptive daydreaming and psychosis/delusions?" Great question. Many comments asked how this was different from delusions, flashbacks, panic attacks, and many others. So let's just go through them one by one. Now, delusions are firmly held false beliefs that no matter what someone says or proves to you about that thing or that situation, we're not going to believe them. And you wholeheartedly believe your delusion or delusions. When it comes to maladaptive daydreaming, we have some awareness that we're in it and can be pulled out. And we're aware that it's happening, even if we don't see any issue with it. It's not an altered reality in the same way. It's like we go in and out of dissociation to cope, whereas with psychosis, we can't get out except with medication and treatment. And it's constant. We constantly believe those things. It's not just a way of coping, if that makes sense. And dissociation is different from flashbacks because we aren't recalling a traumatizing experience when we dissociate. We are instead pulling ourselves out of reality to give our nervous system a break from the feelings and body memories and whatever comes up, right? It's almost like flashbacks are the opposite or maybe even the cause of dissociation. And panic attacks are almost like the opposite of dissociation as well, because when we have a panic attack, we are completely overwhelmed. We can feel like we can't breathe, like we're going to faint or have a heart attack. Dissociation can be caused by a panic attack because they pull us out of that experience and help calm our nervous system, right? Remember, dissociation is a coping skill. It's not the feeling of overwhelm. It's almost a way to better deal with it. And the sixth and final trend that I saw in the comments is the shame or embarrassment that can come along with dissociation. And one comment like this reads, "The symptoms that bothered me the most while being dissociated was the lack of control over what I said. I lost my filter. Does anyone else relate? Because we aren't fully present, we can say and do things that can seem off to others. Many of you talked about how you made a face or said something that didn't make sense in the moment, and people called you out on it or asked you about it later. And I know this can be embarrassing, but try to remember why this is happening and offer yourself some compassion. And know that we can manage this and work to overcome the reason it's happening at all. Please know that you are not alone. Nothing is wrong with you. And the tips and tools I offered in my other video called 5 Common Forms of Dissociation, it can and will get better. I hope you found this video helpful and it reminded you that you're not alone in dealing with this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.